So I was talking to this very senior leader at a well-known financial institution who I coach, and he said to me, you know, Scott, we haven't moved the needle on associate engagement. In other words, the level of engagement of our people toward our mission in several years. It hasn't moved at all. In fact, it's kind of gotten a little bit worse. At the same time, or not long after that, I was speaking with an instructor in the military in the special operations community at the schoolhouse where we train a lot of special ops guys. And he was talking about the challenges that we're having with a lot of our younger special operations students who are coming in and they're having trouble connecting with the role players in the context of the scenarios that they're trying to do in these villages and rough places where they've got to make a human connection. And I drew an immediate correlation to that. I see this across the spectrum. And it's really the reason that I teed up this month's July theme called Narrative Competence. And this is part one that we're going to hit, in the first week. But narrative competence is the theme for July. I can't believe it's July, Wes. You saw the boat come by behind me. It's here. Like summer is here. And the whole rooftop leadership mastery thing, we're moving. And we're now into the realm of execution, right? We're getting into the goods. And that's why I chose this theme. Last month's theme was the challenges of human connection. So by now, you should know how important human connection is to you achieving your goals, leaving your tracks in the world, making an impact. If you haven't, you need to go back to the blog section of my rooftopleadership.com page and watch that last month's worth of vlogs, because you need to know how important human connection is here. So this month, now that we've set that tone, we're going to talk about, okay, what do we do about it, right? And narrative competence, whether you are a senior leader in a Fortune 100 company, whether you are a speaker, whether you are a small business owner, a nonprofit owner, a warrior, or a transitioning warrior. What have I left out, Wes? Pretty much anything where you have to deal with people and achieve big things in a high-stakes environment, narrative competence is absolutely essential. So I'm going to get to the definition in a second, but I want to go back to those two scenarios I gave you, where one is in the military world, where the young students are having trouble connecting to the role players. The other one is between associates and senior leaders in corporate America. What do we have here? Well, first of all, we've got a major disconnect between top and bottom, right? Between upper echelons of leadership and the folks in the trenches who are doing the grind. You've got a disconnect there. You've got a disengagement there. You've even got some level of distrust, right? You go back and watch my vlogs on trust. We have an epic erosion of trust in this country. You add all that onto the fact that we are primal creatures, prone to emotion, prone to meaning, prone to revenge and vengeance and honor, if we feel threatened, right? Through cortisol and resource scarcity and all that stuff. So you add all that together, and it's not hard to see that you have these trust and capacity gaps between the leadership and those who execute the vision of the leadership. That's a major problem, right? That's a major problem, because what it results in, the bottom line, is lost revenue for you and your business and lost time. It takes longer to do things. Transaction costs go up. Even the cost of just doing business, the social friction in your organization becomes more because you have these gaps in place. That's the thing, right? So as you're trying to achieve these things bigger than you, leave these tracks, make this impact, right? You've got these gaps in place. So how do you overcome it? Human connection. Human connection is essential. Humans are the most social creatures on the planet. We can't do anything without a human connection. You've got to be relevant. People have to see you as relevant to their problem. Authority means nothing in this day and age in a trust-depleted environment. Are you relevant to the problem? Are you credible? Are you relatable? Right? Can I see in you the fact that you've run miles and you've got scars and I can relate to you? Are your words resonant to me? Do they help me see myself as the hero in the journey? If those things aren't happening, people are going to smile politely at you and nod and not do a damn thing that you've asked them to do beyond what's absolutely minimally necessary. And in this day and age, you're on the march of the dinosaur, right? Not only are your ideas not going to make it into the world and your impact's not going to be felt, your damn business is probably going to collapse, because in a trust depleted environment, you can't sustain that. I learned that in the rough places of Afghanistan. Wes, can you grab that phone? So while we're jamming here, I'm just going to let the phone keep ringing in the background because it's just too damn good. We're going to keep going. It's also going to give you a competitive edge, right? You're going to get a competitive edge in what you do because no one else does this, right? Having that competitive edge is absolutely essential. And a competitive edge is in how you make connections with other people. The number of relationships you have in your portfolio that are legit, authentic relationships, that's a competitive edge. At the heart of all of that is narrative competence. Like if I was going to say, what's the one skill that I teach special operators, federal law enforcement, high performers who have to communicate in a high stakes environment and make those human connections for a competitive edge, it's narrative competence, right? It is, and I define narrative competence as the integration of storytelling, high stakes listening, and non-verbal skills for deep human connections that help you achieve your goals. Is that specific enough, Wes? That's pretty damn specific. I created that definition, and it's a working definition, but I think it'll serve our purpose. Let me do it again. Narrative competence is the integration of storytelling, high-stakes listening, and nonverbal skills for deep human connections, to form deep human connections that help you achieve your goals, right? Because if we're going to achieve our goals, we can't do it without humans. No one wins alone. So narrative competence is the embodiment of those primary skill sets that will help you do that, right? That's our theme for this month. We're going to dive into that. I'm going to unpack that. And it's free. It's free. You're going to get access to this and you can start working it now, right? Because without narrative competence, you're just not relevant. You're just not resonant and people can't relate to you. And even if it's an instinct to you, I'm going to move the needle from instinct to skill. If you have instinct at human connection, instinct at story, guess what? You can't teach that to your kids. You can't teach that to your associates, your employees to do while you're gone with a client. But if you have the skill, you can. And a lot of the stuff I'm going to teach you are the very things I teach to this day to young operators at Fort Bragg. And we've moved the needle on that. We've moved the needle in corporate America on associate engagement. So this narrative competence is big for you, whether you're a TED speaker, a professional speaker, a corporate leader, an entrepreneur. If you got to tell your story for high stakes and make connections, this is it. No one else does this, guys. No one takes the time to do this in the era of sound bites and bullet points, PowerPoint, and selfies. So if you do this, if you just take the time to lean into this, not only are you tapping into your nature and authentic communications, you have a competitive edge, right? Because it requires a level of competence. And like Wes says, Wes is one of my truest confidants on this journey. Competence is almost like a bad word these days. Like people hear competence and it's like, oh, no. Like we got to get it quick, right? And so the video's got to be 4 minutes or people won't pay attention. I don't want to work with those people, right? I want to work with people who want to be competent. So if you're serious about that and you want to learn this skill set, and by the way, you're going to use it for the right reasons, not transactions alone, but to form relationships that lead to deeper impact, and your transactions benefit from that, you need to watch these vlogs that are coming up. We're going to dive in and we're going to get after it. And if you're serious about being competent, right, and you value that, this is it. I will tell you, if you really are serious about being competent in this skill set and others for human connection and leadership, you need to join our tribe, Rooftop Leadership Mastery. It is a growing tribe of leaders just like you, rooftop leaders who want to lead people, create a movement, make an impact bigger than themselves, where people follow them, not because they have to, but because they choose to, regardless of the trust-depleted environment, regardless of how crazy and disconnected things are. That's what we do in Rooftop Leadership Mastery. You just go to rooftopleadership.com/mastery, sign up for basically $1 for the first month, and then you can disenroll any month after that, and it's like $50, a little under that, what it costs you to take your family out to eat once. You're going to go deep enough on this stuff, you can make that back in one sales pitch, one sales call, one pitch to your boss, one great connection with your wife that you otherwise wouldn't have had. Right? That's return on investment. It's return on leadership. You need to be part of this community, part of a crew of competence, right? So go there, check it out, join us, and get ready because we're going into narrative competence for the next 3 months. Game on. I'll see you on the rooftop.